Hello and welcome to the Smart Women in Business vlog and podcast. I'm your host, Jane Mackay from Jane Mackay Communications, marketing consultant and coach who works with women across the world to build the business of their dreams. Today, I am talking to the amazing Bianca McKenzie. Bianca helps entrepreneurs by taking the stress out of launching, generating targeted leads, making sales and growing businesses through Facebook advertising. Welcome to the show, Bianca.
Thanks so much for having me.
I've known you online for such a long time, but we've never actually done the chat. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
So please tell me about your business journey and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, how long have you got?
We got as long as we want because this is my podcast and I make the rules.
Cool. All right. So, I feel like I'm a little bit of a serial business person, kind of start
Evolver.
this, do that.
You're a
Yeah.
business evolver.
Yeah, that. A starter and not always continuer, but yeah. Okay, so I studied marketing and when I came to Australia, which was in 2005, after a few years, I needed to do something creative. So I started doing something creative, started designing textiles or patterns and printing them on textiles, and then rolled into my first business but it was a side hustle. And then
the old side hustle.
That side hustle rolled into another side hustle where we opened a screen printing studio with friends, and I was missing the marketing side of things. So I kind of left that and went back to a full-time marketing job. Got the creative itch again, started doing something else, started another side hustle. Anyway, through all of that, it was really cool because I was learning, obviously I was working in marketing, but I was also learning a lot of new things that I wasn't really using in my marketing job. I was working for universities.
Yes, I used to work at a uni.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's really good.
It's a different culture.
I really did love it.
Yeah.
I did really love it. I did a lot of student recruitment. But I wasn't doing anything in terms of social media or blogging. I had a blog in 2005. That's how long I had been blogging. But then, started using that for the businesses. So I was learning social media when it was really new, and blogging, and then email marketing. And I wasn't doing any of that in my job, but I was doing that for all the businesses. And then some people started asking me for help, and that's kind of how I rolled into it. It was literally a roll into this, and then I kind of had the thought, I'm like, well, why don't I do this as a business? And started playing with Facebook ads. I never intentionally became the Facebook ad person.
But now you are very much the Facebook ad person?
Yeah, it just happened. I started doing it for myself, and then other people wanted help, and I started helping them. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, she's the Facebook ads person. Go and ask her. And I'm like, hang on, how did that happen? So yeah, that's how I rolled into it. And then when was it? 2016, I think. I left the university world behind and haven't looked back.
It's funny because you talk about Facebook ads like, yeah, I just do Facebook ads. Facebook ads are so incredibly complex, and I have done them for clients, but they cause me so much stress that I don't do them anymore. And if anyone calls me, I go, just go and ask Bianca. Because Facebook as a platform has changed so much. You go, yeah, that was in 2016. But if you look at Facebook in the last 5 years, it changes weekly.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes me wonder if I kind of should do something else that doesn't change as much. It's like my brother's an accountant. I'm like, surely numbers are the same all the time.
Yeah, they're just right or wrong, aren't they? But yeah, Facebook is it's hard to do well. People really take that for granted. How difficult Facebook advertising is and how weird humans are, because when you do it, you go, I'm just going to do split test, one yellow, one orange. It's like, why does the orange do better? And you go, okay, I'll use orange on the next one and do it versus yellow, but then yellow works better. It's like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah. Nothing ever works. Nothing ever works the same way. It is a pain, but I don't know. It also makes it interesting. It's terrible when it doesn't work. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm literally sitting here That's why I'm getting all this grey hair, so I need to
No, that's
cover
children.
up again. Children. So, yes.
I didn't start going grey until I was pregnant with my daughter, and that was sort of, should have been a trigger for like a flag that it was going to be hard, but
Yeah.
no, I adore them. But so working in Facebook, obviously that evolves all the time, like your offering and how you can do Facebook ads effectively. So like, you've obviously got a marketing background, and you would have, how's your business evolved over the last few years? And then what were the signs that you received that it was time to change what you were doing? Obviously you had a child in that time, which causes a lot of upheaval.
Yeah. My business has had lots of iterations. When I first started, I was very much helping people with actual organic social media, and I did social media management for a while. I was all about email marketing, and I think now looking back, that is how I really got into Facebook ads, because that email marketing side and then growing your list. Yeah, really growing the list with Facebook ads. It just made it so much quicker.
Yeah.
And I love fast. I'm impatient.
Make it fast. Yeah.
Yes. So then that's kind of how I started running Facebook ads for list building for a lot of people. And it was literally, I focused on a lot of list building ads, then learned more about the launching. And then in the last 3 or so years, I've learned more about Facebook ads for e-commerce. And it keeps changing, but at the same time, it doesn't keep changing, if that makes sense. Like marketing foundations are still...
Marketing principles don't change.
Exactly. And it's the same with Facebook ads. Like those principles still apply. Like from when I started, it's still very much the same kind of things. It's just manipulating the buttons kind of differently, and just, but the foundations are still the same. You still need this and that in place, and before it can really work. So I don't know, like I feel like things have changed a lot, and I have changed, and my business has changed, but at the same time, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, you don't notice the small changes because of like, they're just small. And like now when I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, it looked very differently. But all in all, it actually hasn't changed all that much.
Because it's interesting, because you say the basic foundations of marketing don't change, and they really don't. Nope. It's, you know, about solving a client need or a customer need, or understanding their problem and then bringing them a solution, blah, blah, blah. Quite simple. But what do you think are the biggest myths around Facebook ads? Because people go, oh, just do that, it'll be really easy. Yeah. Simple isn't easy, folks. Simple is not easy.
Yes. I think one of the biggest myths is, well, one, someone just flings some money at a boosted post and they get nothing, because
Don't boost your post.
I know
it makes all our social media people just die a little bit inside.
Yes, there is no strategy.
There's no
like you need a strategy. So I don't know, I feel like half of my time is spent on educating people to say that Facebook ads amplify. So everything else, like everything needs to already be working before you put money into Facebook ads.
Yes.
It's
Thank you for saying
it. You need to have an offer. That offer needs to convert, you know, at a certain rate already. Then you can put money into Facebook ads. Like surely you can do it before, but then it's a market research exercise. It's just to speed up that process, to see how that funnel or what you're selling, how that is actually converting. Another thing, and I actually did my own podcast on this the other day, is people advertising to a cold audience. I'm like, that's like going up to someone in the street saying, hey, will you marry me?
Yeah. Buy my thing. I'm just going to get in your face and say, buy my thing.
I know, like you might get a slap in the face. Like, honestly, you need to get seen and known and, you know, nurture people, know, like, trust, all of that. And
all of that.
So yeah, that's a really big one in Facebook ads. And yeah, the other thing is that it is constantly changing. It, you know, what worked 3 months ago is not going to work today, even though, you know, like even if you keep everything the same, the world is different.
Yeah.
And yeah, things just keep changing, and it is my constant battle. It's like part of the fun, part of the headache is to constantly keep testing things and seeing what works. And I get really sad when people give up on ads and went, I didn't get anything out of it. And I'm like, well, what do your numbers tell you? And they're like, and they don't look at the numbers and they don't know what that story is that those numbers are telling you. They're like, oh, ads didn't work. I'm like, hang on, you got this many clicks on your ads, like, and your click-through rate is this much. Your ads are working, your landing page isn't.
Yeah. Make data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
100%. And people don't go, oh, I've got a website, doesn't work. Well, what are you doing? I'm getting no traffic. Well, what are you doing to drive people to your website?
Yeah.
Are you telling people it's there? Oh, well, it's just sitting there.
Yeah. I built it and they will come.
I built it and they will come. They don't come, people. They don't come.
No.
You need to invest strategy.
Yeah.
You don't have to invest money necessarily, but you've got to be strategic about making these decisions. And you can't just go, I'm going to throw some money at a Facebook ad and I'm suddenly going to be a 6-figure entrepreneur tomorrow. No, despite what the gurus tell you.
It's like maybe a 6-figure year, but depending on what you're doing,
what your lifetime value of your customer is.
Yeah.
One of the frustrating things I see is people go, I'm going to do an ad. And then after 24 hours, it's not working. So I'm going to play with it. Does that make you cry?
Yes. Yes. And I thankfully don't have any of those clients anymore, but I used to have clients that would like fiddle with my ads. And I'm like,
don't fiddle with my ads.
Don't touch it. I have to already kind of like strap my hands down and go, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Just leave it.
Because what the amazing thing about Facebook ads is the algorithm is way smarter than us.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. It is. And if you manipulate it well and you set up your audience targeting the right way. I saw an ad yesterday for a furniture company in Wodonga. It's like a 4-hour drive for me.
I feel like saying to them, please.
I know.
Get a bit of Facebook ads manager. Because
I was going to comment, but then I was like, no, don't comment.
Don't be
but
mean.
Yeah, like, but yeah, if you do it right, you can show it to the right people. It is really cool. So
a friend of mine just came earlier to my house to give me a lovely gift because it's my birthday next week. But anyway, he didn't know that. He just happened to buy me a gift. But and he said, Facebook ads are getting even weirder because it like knew what I wanted to buy before I knew it. Like, and it's like, well, you've probably done a little bit of searching around that. So can you explain, because people go, Facebook's listening to me.
Yes.
I know you don't know the ins and outs of the algorithm because no one does. But can you explain a little bit to people how that works, please?
Yes. And it's changing and we don't really know how it's going to affect everything. But at the moment, if you have a Facebook pixel installed on a website, and you can check that, anyone can check who's got a pixel installed on their website.
Pixel helper. Yes,
the pixel helper. Basically, this pixel is like a little snippet of code that just tracks who's gone to your website. And then it kind of knows what they look at, depending on how you've got it installed and things like that. But yeah, basically what you then can do is tell Facebook, I want to show my ads to everyone who has gone to my website or anyone who has interacted with me on Facebook or anyone who has interacted with me on Instagram. So it's kind of like stalking you. Well, it's not stalking you. You're stalking. Yeah. But you need to set it up, to stalk people.
And you can select parameters around that, like time, like in the last 6 months. And it's really amazing.
I know, and you can say, I don't want to show it to anyone who's purchased in the last however many days.
I'm big on the clicking on it, hide this ad, already purchased, because then they're not wasting their money.
Yes. I still keep seeing it because that's just me, because I'm an ads manager and I want to see it. And so this is another thing. My email address for Facebook is different from all of the other like my other email addresses that I buy things with. So that's another thing. If you're using the pixel data, it's fine. Like it'll just do the right things. But if you upload your email list into Facebook and you say, I don't want to show it to anyone who's on my email list, like they need to be the same address as on Facebook. So I always see all of the ads still because I use another email address to purchase. But that's fine.
Tricky. No, I have email address I've had for, it feels like since dinosaurs were around, but no, just since Gmail was around. It's been such like, you look back on the last 20 years and think social media didn't exist.
No. What did we do? What did we do at that time?
Google didn't really exist.
I think it was 2005. No, it was older, but then computers weren't as accessible.
And
I
think I spent my whole wedding like sort of online, but with a lot of phone calls. And I go, oh my gosh, it would have been so much easier just to do it like with
all online. Yeah.
Like, how good would that have been? Phone calls, hours and hours of phone calls. But the power, so as small business people, you think about like our audience here listening to our podcast. Hello, everyone. If you're in business for yourself, your service-based business or an e-com business, what do you recommend as sort of the steps before people go, right, I'm going to dive into Facebook ads?
Well, firstly, you need to know your numbers. You really need to know every step of the funnel. So if you're an e-com biz, you need to know how many people are going to your website already, and then what percentage of that converts. The average for e-commerce is between 1% and 4%, and there's benchmarks not benchmarks, but there's averages for industries. So I would Google average conversion rate and then add your industry in there, because it can be really different. So you need to know your average conversion rate. You also need to know your average order value. That's more if you want to outsource it. So because I don't take anyone on who has an average order value under $100, because it's reasonably hard for me to get them a return on investment and for them to also be able to pay a management fee. So, but the main thing is to know your conversion rate, because like I said, it amplifies. So if you know that right now 1,000 people are going to your website and 50 people purchase, then you can, it doesn't always translate like that, but you can think about, okay, if I send 2,000 people to my website, I should expect 100 purchases. So know those numbers so you can calculate. Is that like per
day, per week, per month?
I tend to look at the last 3 months to sort of see. But if you have a business that's seasonal, and you know that you have more sales in Q1 versus Q2, and that is a trend that happens every single year, then just look at that, like that specific quarter or those specific months. But it's really important to know what the percentage is of people that convert, because you're going to start driving more traffic to your website. You should see that come out the other end. Yeah. Unless you drive the wrong kind of traffic to your website. So that's another thing that they need to know, is who is their ideal client. And I'm sure you talk about this with your clients.
I do.
It is such a vital marketing exercise, and everyone tries to skip over it and like not do it.
Boring.
Yes, it is boring, and it's hard. It is hard sometimes, but it's so important, because if you're driving the wrong, like if you're selling women's products and you're like not setting up your ads right, and you're driving like traffic from, to show your ads to men, you're just wasting your money. So yeah, you need to know who your ideal client is. So that's another one. That's both for e-com and for service-based businesses. For service-based businesses, the other thing is that, so with e-com, you can sometimes drive straight to cold traffic, or at a minimum a lookalike audience based on who already purchased. With services, they need to get to know you first, and because it's such a personal kind of decision. So a lot of the time, what you need to do is run nurture ads first. Sorry. Yeah, you need to run nurture ads first. So show them some of your social content that you're already posting. Like if you're doing some videos talking about behind the scenes and that kind of thing, and all the stuff that a lot of us don't want to do because, scary. But that is the kind of stuff that you need to do. And if you can get them on your email list, that is a really good thing as well. So there's two things. You can drive traffic to your social content. Don't boost a post. Turn it into an ad. You can turn things into an ad on the back end of Ads Manager.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is build your email list. So drive traffic to get people on your email list, and then kind of the way that is done, and it has been done like this for years, like kind of since I started doing Facebook ads, is you offer someone a free something or other in exchange for the email address. So the currency is the email address.
Yeah.
So it could be a free guide. It could be, I wouldn't do a free one-on-one anything because it's really hard to scale. But a free guide, a webinar, a masterclass, a free mini course, a free challenge, anything. There's a lot of things. But you need to think about what your ideal client would like.
Yeah.
So ads for service-based is, I would usually say, do the list building ads. And then you can retarget them with your offer later. But the idea is that with a service base, that you get them on your list and you nurture them to the sale. So your email funnel and your sales page, another thing that's really important to have, they need to do the selling. The ads don't do the selling. The ads bring in the leads. You need to do the rest. And that's either your email and or your sales page, or get on a call with them. That's another thing. So if you sell high tickets, sometimes getting on a call is the right way to go.
It's interesting to go, the ads don't do the selling. I think you can't say that enough times, because we think we're just going to show someone a solution and they're going to buy it. But there are so many psychological things that go in someone's brain before they buy from you, especially in service-based. And you mentioned know, like, and trust, which is something I harp on about all the time. People won't buy from people they don't know.
No.
You can't go straight to that, as you said, will you marry me?
Yeah.
You have to go, hey, I'm Jane and I do this thing. Have you got a problem? Here's a little snippet of how to solve that problem. And then you give them another snippet, and then you give them another snippet, and you take them through that journey. And then at the other end, you go, here's an ad. I see you like my stuff. Now do you want to buy from me?
Yes.
And you do that. I would normally do that through email.
Yeah.
I wouldn't then use a Facebook ad.
Yeah. It's like, hey, let's go on a date. Go on a date, go on a date, go on a date. We get serious. Now will you marry me?
By the way, I know you love me now.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's so many perceptions around Facebook ad as it being, and marketing in general, as it being this instant panacea going to solve all your problems. Marketing in all forms, unless you've got a really desirable e-com product, I always come at a service-based brain, is a slow burn. It takes time.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
It really is a slow burn. And I can see why people think like that, because they've created something and they are loving it. And like, you know, I love my own stuff.
Yeah. My stuff's gorgeous. But everyone needs it.
Exactly. But then, it's, you know, there's so many objections. Like there's, you know, financial, or the time is not right, or maybe not right now, or can I really trust this person? Are they really going to help me? Are they really going to provide a solution? And there's like, this is why the nurturing is so important. Like you need to overcome all of those objections.
And they can be irrational objections as well.
Oh, completely.
As well as rational. But you've got to understand your clients and meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
In that first instance. And that's what the ad does.
Yeah, the first instance is the ad. But everything else after that, you can do a retargeting ad, especially when someone's gone to your sales page and potentially initiated a checkout. Then you can kind of go, hey, you forgot something. I know that you're interested in this.
Yeah. They've added to bag, added to cart.
Exactly. And what is it? Yeah. People need to see your message like somewhere between 7 to 12 times or something like that.
7 minimum. I think it's gone up to like something horrible like 15.
Oh, righto. There you go. Yeah.
Marketers' jobs, just pray for all your marketers, people.
Exactly. And social media is good with that, but you have no control over who sees it. You just don't know who's going to see your Instagram post. And like you can put it out there, and if you have, you know, 1,000 followers, maybe only 3 will see it.
Well, yeah. And people say, you know, I've got all these followers on Facebook, but they're not my audience. And, you know, I can't sell to them. It's like, yeah, you can sell on Facebook. You just set up a campaign in Facebook Ads Manager.
Yeah.
And just target the people you actually want to sell to. It has nothing to do with your Facebook followers. It has to do with the people who have interacted with your page.
Yeah.
It has to do with people who have interacted with your website because they're interested. But whoever follows you on Facebook, they're no longer relevant when you set up an ad campaign.
Unless you want them to be relevant, you can say whoever engaged with me on Facebook. But yeah.
So don't stress about who's following you on Facebook.
No.
It's just setting up an actual campaign. You go, yeah, well, if they've interacted with me with, fine. And it's interesting, the level of demographics used to be go even deeper, but the level of demographics, psychographics, behaviors, interests that you can go in, like,
yes,
were the one that freaked me out on Facebook.
There's so many options. It is a little bit creepy, but this might change with the new Apple implementations.
Yes, I've seen a few social media people having a little bit of nervous breakdown recently over the Apple changes. Yeah. I'm Android girl, so it doesn't affect me. But
I'm Apple, but it is what it is, really.
You just got to work with the tools you've got.
Things keep changing. Like right now, so for a long time we had a 28-day attribution window in Facebook ads. What that means for anyone who doesn't know.
I was about to say, do you want to explain that to me?
Yeah. So in Facebook ads, if someone clicked on your ad, it would sort of track that data for 28 days. So if someone made a purchase based on clicking on your ad, we could see that, within a 28-day window. So if they bought on like day 12, it would show up. Right now, that's pulled back to 7-day. So if anyone purchases or takes an action outside of that, seeing your ad or clicking on your ad outside of that 7-day window, it doesn't get attributed back to that Facebook ad, even though it was as a result of that Facebook ad. It doesn't show up. It was a
contributing factor.
Yeah, but it doesn't show up in the statistics, which is tricky. But I was like, oh, well, it is what it is. Funnily, they used to be only 7 days. I reckon the 28-day came in maybe in 2017 or so. Before that, it was 7 days. So I feel like we've just gone back in time.
Does that mean you're not paying, if you're paying per lead or per conversion, you're like, well, then I don't have to pay for that conversion? Because there are different ways, to all our listeners, you can
there is, but most of the time it's set up to charge per impression or per click kind of thing. So, but yeah, it just makes tracking harder. Tricky. It just makes tracking harder. Now, this is why I always did list building, because when you're list building, most of the time people don't have to think about it. They're like, oh, it's a free thing, I'll sign up right now. So that tracking was never really an issue. It becomes an issue when you then sell something off the back of it. It's not going to be attributed to that ad.
That's challenging. And it comes back to making data-driven decisions.
Yes. So
Google
Analytics is the next step to look at. And I am still learning more about that.
Yeah. We won't start on Google Analytics.
That's a whole different thing.
We've mentioned your daughter. How do you manage your life as an entrepreneur, as running a solo business with your baby?
Daycare?
Yay for daycare.
Thank goodness it's back.
Of course, because you're in Melbourne and you have a child in daycare. Yeah,
yes.
Of course.
She was home for, I think, a good 5 or 6 months last year. So I managed with the amazing invention of YouTube.
I downloaded Minecraft for the first time for my kids on Mother's Day last year, and it got me through.
Ah, well,
because they're old enough to play
games. Yeah. No. So I'm in my office right now, and we have this amazing super long custom made desk, and there's another computer right there, which is my hubby's computer.
Yeah, I've got one there.
And we would honestly just share the office. Well, we wouldn't share the office. Hubby was in the back room because he was also working from home, but he's on the phone a lot. So I was like, I can't work with you here. So instead I had to listen to Peppa Pig videos and Blippi videos. And back then, thank heaven, she still slept. She still had a nap back then. She doesn't right now. But yeah, that was my 1 hour-ish of solitude and work time. But she went to daycare when she was 10 months old. So it was really hard for me. I find it really hard to let her go and leave her with strangers. But she's got a really good daycare. So from 10 months on, she was at daycare. I took a good sort of 3 to 6 months of maternity leave. I was going to take 3 months, but it really sort of, I wasn't ready to,
No, fair enough.
So
I think you're going to be, and then you have the child and go, oh my God.
I know, I just wanted to spend time with her. And so, yeah, I did a little bit of work just because they sleep a lot. So it was easier when they were little. And then, 10 months, she started going to daycare for 1 day. And then I think, I don't know, a good 4 months after that, she started going for 2 days. And now she goes for 3 days. So
I love it. My kids just loved daycare.
She had a bit of, I don't want to go for a while, just last week. And, up until last week, she was like still hanging off my leg and I would have to hand her over to a carer. But this week, I'm like, all right, I'll give you a cuddle, because she's like, I want a cuddle. I'm like, all right, here's a cuddle. Now go and play. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, bye.
You just went off and played.
It's like, oh my gosh, their first day of school. It's like, bye. And they're like, okay, see you, mum, bye. I was like,
right.
Okay, I'm done now.
Yes. It was kind of, I had a mouth open kind of, what just happened? And
you're not old enough to be independent of me right now.
I know, but no, she's fine. This week she's been fine. So yeah, I basically have 3 days where she goes to daycare, and I love it because we're not on a schedule. Now that we're back to non-daylight savings, I feel like she's had a reset. It's awesome, because before she used to get there at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then now it's like, okay, she's there before 9, and I feel like I get more of my day back. I get more work time. I do work a little bit in the evenings, and it's probably just because I don't know what to do with myself otherwise. So
you're not sitting on the couch watching maths?
No. I do that sometimes during the work days.
Bianca and I were talking off air about how I'm doing a design job at the moment. So it's just designing. I don't have to really think. So I've got maths on my other screen. Highly recommend. And if I'm not doing that, I'm listening to podcasts.
Oh, I haven't done that because I kind of feel like I need to focus on podcasts. But yeah, no, I've kind of binge watched Backroads and all 7 series. And I was
it's funny because it's like you got to concentrate, but like unless I'm writing, I can't have anything on in the background. Writing, I can't have anything, like silence.
No, you have to focus. Yeah, I can set up ads campaigns, and like as long as I've got all the assets ready, I can just put it in there and easy.
And then you're just playing with the numbers.
And then but I kind of set a rule for myself. I'm not allowed to watch anything until the afternoon. So morning is productive time, and then afternoon I can do some of the other tasks and watch something. So yeah, the moment it's maths. But yeah, I do work in the evenings, and I don't know, I feel like it's like a leftover habit from when I had a full-time job and I had to do all my work in the evenings.
Yeah, I don't do any work in the evenings because otherwise I don't sleep.
I kind of go to about 8 o'clock, and then it's kitty bedtime. Because she does the 3 days of daycare, and my hubby puts her in the bath, and I'm like,
yeah.
I quickly tidy up the kitchen, and then it's like,
throw
all right,
dinner at everybody.
I kind of get this second spurt of energy in the evening as well. It's like in the afternoon, I'm like, flat, and I'm like, all right, I need to do something else, and then I get this burst of energy. So I don't know.
If I got back in the office, I'd be here till midnight. Like I wouldn't stop. And that's why I have to you have to know your own boundaries.
Yeah. Because my hubby just calls me. He's like, did you see the time? Because I sleep with my daughter. We sleep together. She's never wanted to settle in a bassinet. And then we've always slept together. So I go to bed with her, which is kind of good for me because I get a really good long night's sleep. But yeah, otherwise I reckon I would be the same. I'd be just be sitting here to like
tapping away.
Yep.
So you got to be pretty. It's the discipline that comes with being self-employed.
Yes, I don't always have it.
I don't know. No, none of us always have it. We might look like we have it on Instagram, but we don't.
Yeah, no.
So what does a great day in the office look like for you? What do you
Good productivity in the morning. So my week is quite sort of scheduled or like regular. I hop on a call with my peer group on Tuesday mornings. So that's usually from 10 to 11, or sometimes if everyone has lots of questions longer. It's awesome to have a group of people that I can ask questions to if Facebook ads are not working. And then some Facebook ads work. And then usually on Tuesday afternoon, I try to do a podcast recording, or at least map it out. So Tuesdays are all for me. I try not to have any calls unless I have to, like if my clients can't really do other days. Wednesday, Thursday is sort of open to mostly to having calls with people or podcast recordings, but I try not to have more than 2 calls a day. And it could be a potential client call or a current client call, but my general days are filled with looking at Facebook ads campaigns, coming up with new strategies, looking at what the numbers are doing, tweaking, pivoting. Yeah. So
just playing strategic. It's like chess, really. It's like,
yeah,
if I do this thing might happen, or this thing might happen. Let's try it and see.
Educated guessing.
Always testing. You're always testing.
Yeah, pretty much. And beforehand, I was trying to do like some of my own social media and all of that as well. But I've handed that over now to someone else. So I now have a small team, and
awesome.
We kind of just communicate on Slack and get stuff happening. But it's really strange. Like I have weeks where I'm really busy, especially when I'm in a client launch and like I have to set up lots of ads, and it could be like we can be running 30 or 50 ad campaigns kind of thing. And then other weeks
would explode.
Oh, sometimes it does. And then other weeks it's reasonably quiet, and I kind of just have to check in, and things are just happening. So, but like I never know what the week's going to be like, because it could just stuff breaks, or I'll have a client that goes, oh, I've created this. I'm like, okay, well I can do something with that. So new thing on my list. Yeah.
It's funny how it goes in those peaks and troughs, and like sometimes you're just like 100%, and sometimes you're like 40%, but then you go, I really should do this thing for my own business, and then you go, I'm quite tired.
That's what I'm up to right now. I'm like, oh, I really need to re-record some stuff. I'm like, oh. And then I look at the whole, because it's my course, I'm like, look at the whole course plan. I'm like, that's going to take me like 3 weeks.
Oh my God. Or like, I'm like, I blame the moon. It's definitely the moon.
That has something to play with it. I'm really crap at tracking it, even though I've got like right there, I've got on the wall, I've got a moon calendar, so I know when's what, but I'm really crap at tracking it. I'm like, oh, I've got this burst of creativity, and then like 3 days later I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? It's also, I had spoke to Alana, who's a kinesiologist, on a couple of podcasts ago, and she was talking about your menstrual cycle and how you can feel really energetic or you're really down. I'm like, well, yeah, it's probably got more to do with it than the moon, but the moon definitely is blame the moon.
Yeah. No, it's most definitely a menstrual cycle, and it was really weird because I didn't have one for 26 months when I had my daughter. So I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. No, but you kind of still get the mood things, but
the peaks and troughs. Well, who knows? I don't know. I think they know very little about it. I'm just like,
I'm definitely
quite tired and angry. Angry is usually the sign for me. I know, because it's the day I want to divorce my husband. It's the only day of the month. You mentioned Slack. What other tools do you use for productivity tools? Because I love everyone has a different tech stack. I love a tech stack.
Pen and paper?
Yeah, me too.
Pen and paper, and I'm trying to get better at using Asana or Asana, whatever how you call it. Asana. I call it Asana. And especially now that I have a little bit of a team since February, I need to get better at using that. So Slack I'm quite good at because it's open, and it's the only notification thing I will have on my computer. I will not have any other notifications from anything. It's like, don't bother me.
No, leave me alone. Certainly do not call me. No.
I'm pretty bad at picking up the phone.
I leave my phone on silent half my life and don't realize, but anyway.
Mine's on silent all the time. So that's what when people have to call me, I'm like, all right, when are you going to call me? I'll make sure my phone's on. I am trying not to use email. I hate my inbox. I really do. That's why I've handed it over to a VA. It's not that I hate it. I just get overwhelmed. I just
it is overwhelming.
Feel so overwhelmed.
Mine's like there, just
so yeah. My VA now sort of sorts through it and figures out what I need to see and what I don't need to see. But it's literally Slack and Asana that get all the stuff, and then it's literally my paper to-do list. It gets put into everything, like not into Slack, but whatever's in Asana is on my paper list. Most of the time there's more on my paper list than there is in Asana. My paper list is, and I think that's also a habit left over from when I had my full-time job. I had like a week planner, and I would write 2 or 3 things that I had to do every single day, and that was the only thing I could do, 2 or 3 things, and then I had achieved something. So it was a good system for me.
I love pen and paper. I'll never get away from pen and paper, I don't think. It's
and it's right here, it's right next to me, and I can just add to it.
There's something about writing something down that is part of the processing of it.
It's out of your brain, it's there, I'll get to it.
Well, you don't have to remember anything. So I always talk about imposter syndrome on my podcast, because it's something that a lot of people suffer from. So what are your methods to overcome the bad days in business, apart from giving your daughter a cuddle, because I bet she's super cute?
She is super cute. I've learned a lot about myself. I feel like going into business is like the biggest personal development exercise.
Oh my God.
Ever. And I've been in business now for 6 years, I think. And that imposter syndrome never leaves. It never goes. It just takes on a different shape.
Yeah. I'm coming up for 12 years, and it's still there.
It's still, it doesn't go away. And like I receive emails from clients sometimes, and like, they're like, I had a really good time with you, but I've decided to go to an agency that can also do this and this and this. And I'm like, and I feel like
I just want to cry.
I know. And it's like, it feels really personal. And then I'm like, no, it's not personal. No. And it isn't personal, but you still sort of feel like it's personal. Yeah. So I know that I can't overcome it, but I can allow myself to just feel crappy for a little bit. It's like, all right, sit with it for a little bit, but then pull yourself up and get going again. And it is such a roller coaster. And right now I'm in a really good frame of mind. So obviously I'm like, but God, when I'm in that down,
and no one sees the down.
No, and it's not a nice place. It's not a good place to be. What I found is to have some people that I can call on, like not be alone in it. So one of my best business besties, she's also a Reiki practitioner.
Oh, handy.
Yeah. And both of us have done like a coaching certification thing together as well. So I don't know, I feel like we're sort of good to talk to each other when we're like in that down. It's like she talks to me when she's down, and like, I'm more of the, all right, let's go into fix it mode and like, what can we do right now? Whereas she just holds space for me to just feel shitty and then bring up some, some past achievements. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I did do that. And I did do that. And I am pretty good.
So get yourself a biz bestie. I love a biz bestie.
Yes, really necessary. And then now I have a group of ads managers. I joined a program in October last year. And having an ads mentor and a group of other ads managers that just know what you're going through, because
unless it's funny, because I did a mentoring weekend where I was a mentor a couple of weeks ago in Gippsland. We've got this amazing program running, and I can talk to people I know here, because I'm in a small town, about marketing all I want, but they don't really get it because they're not in in the business of the doing with you. And I went to this weekend, and a few of the other mentors were in marketing as well, and we're having this conversation, and I'm like, you are my people.
Yes,
you are my people. And
You
now I
get
know
it.
that if I'm having a bad day, I can just flick them a message or go, do you want to jump on Zoom and help me solve this problem? And they'll be like, yeah, cool. Like, and we went out in the evening, we had the best night. And I was like, I finally found my people.
Oh, it's so good when you do. And I don't even know how I've done business or like how I've been a Facebook ads manager for so long without that support. Like, because, and especially with all the changes coming up now as well, like last year, I think it was about October last year. Yeah, around that time. It was the first time in my whole history of being a Facebook ads manager that I had an ad account shut down from a client. It was the first time. And like I said, I've been in this gig for a long time. And
oh my gosh.
if that had happened like in 1 or 2 years in, I would have felt so bad and like it was my fault and oh my God, I ruined my client's business. And but I was like, oh well, it happened.
Yeah.
Now I'll have to get it back. And we got it back really quickly. But like I didn't feel like it was my fault.
Well, let us talk about the mercurial ways of the Facebook ads, which accounts get shut down all the time.
Especially at the moment. Yes. Often. Right now, they are hard at it.
It's random.
So it's happened 3 more times since then. So, but yeah, now I don't feel like it's me anymore. Like in the past, I would have gone, and it's so good to have a group to go to and go, all right. What do I do? Or can you have a look at this? What did I, because when we get it back, it's like, what did I do wrong? Yeah, and often it wasn't me anyway. But if I'm like insecure about some copy, it's like, well, do you think this is going to get flagged? And then I can just bring it to some people or show them the results I'm getting and then get some feedback on. Yeah. And often it's the stuff that, it's funny because a lot of the times I'm already thinking these things. I'm like, I think this is this and this and this. But you know how like when you have a coworker, like back when I went to work, just to have a second pair of eyes on it.
Somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Bounce ideas off. And my next question is always, how do you maintain your sense of community? And it's having someone else to talk to.
Yeah.
Even if you work by yourself in business, having a mentor or a group or someone gets you out of your own head.
Yes, completely. And it's, those people see it from a different perspective and they help you see it from a different perspective. And yeah, like I've got my hubby and like he's totally on board now, not when I first quit my job. He was probably crapping himself more than I was. I was like, no, it's all going to be fine. You know, like I am literally one of those people. I'm like, no, it's fine. The universe will provide. Obviously, obviously I need to do some work, but I'm like, no, it'll be fine. It's all good. So he knows it's all good. So he's super supportive, but like I can't talk to him about certain, working with clients or it's just not the same. So yeah, having a business bestie and having that community and it's interesting because last year with the lockdowns, the only difference for me was having a tiny person at home and someone else in the back room. It didn't change much for me.
I was homeschooling a prep and had my husband. So there was no podcasting for me. That was the only thing that really changed.
I started my podcast during the lockdown. I don't even know how I did it. I don't even know why or how, but
your children nap. Your child naps.
Yes, that's
so
true.
What is your why? What keeps you motivated in your business?
I always think about this and I always feel like my why is not why enough.
It's not why-y enough.
Yeah, it's like, people have got these grand dreams and blah, blah, blah. For me, it's literally it's honestly just about freedom. It's about making my own choices and, having the freedom not to, be somewhere at a certain time. Obviously, I have, commitments at certain times sometimes, but not having to, have the clock go off at 6 a.m. in the morning.
That's one of the simplest things for me is I don't have an alarm. I never have. People go, I'd never thought about that. You go, yeah.
I don't have an alarm either. My toddler determines when we get up.
Yeah.
And I love that. And obviously when she has to go to school, that's going to change because we'll have to be up at a certain time. But right now, I'm like, no, I don't want an alarm. I don't want her to be woken up at a certain time. It's like, this is the time that we can do this.
Yeah.
So for me, it's literally that, having that freedom of not having to commute because we live 40 kilometers as the crow flies from this Melbourne CBD. So
Mm.
it's a minimum 1 hour on the train. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. It was great. Like, I got a lot of blog posts written on my phone and like that kind of stuff, and listened to a lot of podcasts. But just not having to commute, just not having to ask anyone for time off, and not having an income ceiling, like, and I love that, just the flexibility. And I obviously did that before my daughter was born, but now that I have her, it was so good to just have my own time. Just that flexibility, especially with kids. I don't think I could go back.
No, I don't think I could either. I mean, admittedly, I only had 7 days off when I had my son, because I love doing my work.
Yes.
And he slept a lot.
Yeah.
And I was bored. And I was like, you know what, I'll just start working again. And because I'd been in business long enough then, I'd been in business 5 years, I think, when he was born, that I could ramp it up and then take it back down again as I needed. And I knew how to do that by then. I wasn't just taking on all the clients.
Yeah.
Because when you love what you do.
Yeah. I'm a little bit like that too. I'm pretty sure I created lots more resources and it wasn't that I wasn't doing anything. I still had some clients back then, not that many, but just a few, and I couldn't not do business, I don't think. It's like my business is my hobby as well.
You're not the first person that said that to me. It's like, well, you know, you've got all this time off, and I go, yeah, I could get a heap of work done, like on my business.
I know.
Like, oh, what am I going to write today then?
Yeah.
You know? It's funny. It's so funny. We're so geeky.
Business is our hobby. It's like, that's why I'm like, I don't know what other people do at nighttime. I'm not much of a TV person anyway. And to be honest, my toddler hogs the TV. We have fights over it. Like, if my hubby is watching the football, she'll now literally go, she's 3, right? She'll go, you have to share, Papa. It's my turn now. She watches it like 90% of the time.
Oh, we have go, right, we've got like shows we can compromise on that the whole family like on YouTube. Good. Mainly it's Fail Army. Master Chef, you know, Britain's Got Talent, things we can watch together. And it's like, I barely have a Netflix profile because I never get to watch what I want, and I don't really care.
We don't have Netflix. I would say 90% of the time it's blippy at the moment. And you totally get over that as this American guy. It's quite educational, and she's learned a lot during COVID. But I just can't. Like, I'll just turn the TV on and I'll just go and sit here and like she can watch it, because I'm like, no way I can watch that again.
No. And you do what you got to do to get through, to be honest, when they're that little. And people are going to judge you regardless, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What are your tips for all the smart women in business across the world? I used to say across Australia, and then like went a bit global on me, so across the world.
Across the world. Oh, so many tips. I don't know. Mindset, probably one big one, is that if you want to do this, or if you want to be in business, work on your mindset, because I don't know, I've probably found 80% of business is mindset, 20% strategy.
100%. Yep.
So mindset is a big one. And to trust your gut and to, in a way, believe in yourself, which is also mindset related, but we are strong people. We can do this kind of thing. It's amazing. And I don't know, let's bring up maths again, but I can't remember her name, but the lady who has 2 kids, $1.50 in a bank account, and picked up the tools and started property developing. I'm like, yes, woman, we can do this shit. Yes. Like, people can bring us down, but we can build ourselves up again.
Yes. I can't remember her name either.
Yeah.
That's sad, isn't it?
It's inspirational to know that, you know, even if you do hit rock bottom, we've got this. Yeah. It's an attitude thing. I reckon. Not an aptitude thing. It's an attitude thing. It's like, we can do this. So
Just make the choice.
yes, mindset.
It's all about mindset.
It is all about mindset. It honestly is.
It's so funny because it's like that's why I talk about the bad days in business. It's like that they're the days where you go, I don't think I can do this. But the next day you wake up and go, yeah, I can do this. I've been doing this for 5 years or 12 years. And I have all this, like, I love having like a Word doc with all your testimonials in it. And going, I'm just going to read some of those from all my clients who have loved me.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, all the messages I get and go, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. It's fine. Yeah. And then you just pick yourself up again.
Exactly.
Go on your way.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you don't have bad days, because honestly, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to look at jobs, and then I love it because halfway through I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Oh, people flick me jobs and I go, why would you think I want a job?
Yeah.
Like, but you don't work. And I go, yeah, I work for myself.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Weird. Oh no, scary. So how can listeners find out more about you and your work, other than coming to me and going, can you do my Facebook ads? And I go, no, go and talk to Bianca.
They can find me at biancamckenzie.com. And it's MCKENZIE.
And I will post links to your website and your socials in the show notes so people can find you.
I go up and down on my socials. It's like, oh yeah, I got stuff to say now. I got stuff to post now. And then it's like, oh, I got nothing.
I'm quite tired.
Honestly, my life is quite, I feel like my life is not Instagrammable. It's pretty boring. On the weekends, we do fun things. But outside of that, there's only so many photos I can take of myself in my office.
I just tagged you in an Instagram story, by the way. Oh. There you go, content. Yay. Yeah, I'm having a quiet week on social, and don't beat yourself up if you're not doing your regular socials, because none of us seem to manage to do it unless we.
I get more engagement when I just post less frequently.
Interesting. Video is the way of the future.
Yeah, and reels. But they take so much time to do. I should just maybe put more pictures and stuff on my dogs up. They're pretty cute.
Reels, I've done like 2 reels and I was like, that took me way too long.
Yeah, they take a bit long.
I'm going to go and do some client work now that I get paid for.
Exactly. That's how I am too. I'm like, posting on Instagram now, it's not going to pay me.
Pay you in the future. Well, thank you for your time today, Bianca, and all your wisdom.
My pleasure. It was so much fun to be here.
Babo, and I will see you soon.
Okay.